Hi all, this is a video on solving linear equations. Sorry, my voice is a little rough. I have a cold that will never end as far as I can tell. Okay, so in general with solving, you want to think about, first thing, trying to clean up any mess that's sitting in your equation. I generally would say mess includes things like parentheses we'll want to deal with here. And if there are any fractions involved, I like to clear fractions right away to make things a little easier to deal with. And then we'll want to work on getting our variable isolated on one side of the equation. So dealing with mess, parentheses, you can either, in this case, detach what's out in front by dividing or by distributing. The -4 is attached by multiplication, so those are our two choices. Distributing will clear the parentheses, as will dividing. I'm going to choose distribute because dividing would have to apply to every term, and I would end up with fractions, which I've just said is one of the things I would consider mess. So if we don't want to create more mess, we're going to use distributing to clear parentheses. Okay, so I'm multiplying a -4 to both terms of this difference, which is going to leave me with a -12 plus 4x. That sign is really important. We're multiplying a -4 by a -x. And then on the other side, we want to think of that lonely negative out in front as being a -1 that's attached by multiplication. So again, distributing through will clear the parentheses, and I get -4x minus 3. I can clean up a little more mess now by combining like terms, and then I'll go ahead and worry about getting x's on one side. Okay, so if I'm trying to solve for x, in general, I'm not going to be very happy to have x's on both sides of the equation. So I get to choose which side to move the x's to. I'm going to choose to move them to the, let's go for the left-hand side here. To do that, these terms are attached by subtraction. So to get rid of the -4x, I'm going to add it to both sides. So adding -4x to both sides is going to leave me with positive 1x on the left and no x's on the right. Feel free to, in that same step, start moving your constants to the other side, but I've saved that up, so let's do it now. As soon as you get down to just 1x sitting on one side of the equation, it really just becomes a matter of reversing all of your order of operations to get rid of anything attached to x. So when I look at this, I'm thinking I have x minus 12. If this 12 is attached by subtraction, I want to get rid of it by adding 12 to both sides. So I get x equals 9 as my solution. I think it's great to plug back in and check. However, it's not required that you show me that work for a linear equation. We do have certain types of equations where you can do everything correctly and still get what's called an extraneous solution. So you do want to be aware of that. And in that case, checking is absolutely mandatory, but that is not going to happen with a linear equation. So we are done.